I was going to segue because um, big week for you,
Yeah.
I suppose, for the mainstream world. For those of us that don't watch bloodletting on a weekly basis, although I'd like to, and Hannah would love to
I
too.
would actually love to witness that. I would.
Once a week.
But your rope work was featured on Westworld.
Yeah, I wouldn't know if I would use the word featured, but it definitely played well in the show.
Because I would think, because I always, you never think about like if they're tying up actors, they have to have somebody who knows what they're doing to do that, right?
Well, I think that usually they don't, and that's what gets noticed.
Yeah.
Is that the rope is sloppy or the rope is weird, like it's some type of strange rope that doesn't make any sense to tying somebody up. Why would you tie somebody up with that rope? They can just slip right out of it because of the thickness or shape or texture of the rope.
Right.
And then there's the way it's tied. Well, that's not a bondage. That person can stand up. I don't understand what
Well,
you
that's
think
you.
you're
I
doing.
mean, you are the rope actor. You probably
But I
look at
think
every rope
more
like
people than just me
Yeah.
get
That's
that.
definitely pre-production.
Yeah, right?
It's like a pre-production detail that like
Just gets overlooked.
Well, yeah. I mean,
art nerding over here.
Yeah, but it's true, right?
Yeah,
You're thinking,
absolutely.
you look at a period piece and they pay a great deal of attention to the hair, to the eyeliner,
Yeah.
to the specific way you draw the eyeliner, to the clothes, to the background, to the wall.
Yeah.
All these kind
Yeah,
of
and then
things.
all of a
And then they
sudden
sit them in a chair and tie them with this goofy rope from Home Depot that
Yeah.
doesn't make any
Yeah,
sense, and
yeah.
the bondage makes no sense, and they're supposedly supposed to stay there in that chair.
Yeah.
Why don't they just get up and punch the guy?
Yeah. So.
You guys will, the audience will see it and notice it, but they
Yeah.
won't know what they're looking at, and they'll judge it.
Yeah.
I promise you, like they'll judge it and say something like
Subconsciously.
subconsciously. I really,
And I don't think it's
believe
just
it,
kinky
but-
people.
Because
Yeah,
you
not
know,
just
because you
kinky
guys are like
people.
all you guys know a good rope tying. Yeah.
Yeah,
You guys know your knots.
yeah.
Yeah,
But I think that everybody recognizes when something just doesn't fit.
Right.
And so,
Westworld is going to go for high quality. Like right now with that like beautiful image and beautiful
Oh, yeah.
imagery.
Mhm.
Beautiful
they're very
rope.
well
Yeah.
known
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
They're really well known for paying attention to those little
Yeah.
details.
And
It's something that they definitely
it's-
pride themselves on.
it's what sheriff like what is the Western theme like knots
Mhm.
are important at that for that element.
Well, it was an interesting episode because even before you were going to be on the show, I watched it,
Mhm.
and I did notice the unusual, basically some of the cast, some of they're not hosts, they're
The QA
no,
responders?
it was it the QA responders? I thought it was
The QA responders are the guys in the military guys who respond to any type of
it was there was
the techs?
it was the Tex and what's her name
Maybe.
Maeve, yeah.
Yeah.
And so they get into Shogun World,
Mm-hmm.
and they were tied up together, and I did notice it was an unusual way they were tied up.
Yeah.
And is that authentic Japanese?
So with working in Hollywood, there are certain rules that you have to follow.
Okay.
The actors need to be able to take their hands loose on their own. So if they
Right.
slip or something, they need to be able to move their hands to the front of their body
See, I never thought
and
about
catch
that.
themselves so they don't get hurt. And they, in between takes, a lot of times they want to come out of the bondage because
Right.
it's restrictive.
Hmm.
Or they are not submissive and being bound feels weird.
Yeah.
So they want to come out of the bondage because, oh, my character is a really dominant character and I'm in an angry mood and in between takes I need to come out of this, otherwise it's going to fuck with my head,
Right.
says the actor. Oh, okay, so I need to be able to remove this bondage relatively quickly and then relatively quickly put it back on you.
Hmm.
And then it needs to meet these other qualifications. You can't be so bound that you will fall on your face.
Right.
You have to be able to catch yourself. So those things have to be factored into the ties that you create. And then I get to try to make it as authentic as possible.
Right.
So one of the things I did is I imported rope from Japan. I own a rope company called Vintage Rope.
Right.
And I import rope from all over, from Romania, Hungary, and Japan, and I hand finish the rope for bondage specifically.
Mhm.
And so I imported rope from Japan, hand finished it for this show, so that way most of the rope you see, including the ropes that got used to tie the shoes, to tie fish to tie all kinds of things was rope that I supplied for the show.
Oh, wow.
And so I was trying to give them as authentic product as possible to use. And then I brought in to the production meetings with art department producers and directors a bunch of my books. So I have a really big collection of bondage BDSM books from all over the world, and brought a lot of different things in. And the things that they liked were Hojojitsu and based in Hojojitsu.
Okay.
So that's a martial arts kind of tying, and a way that the police tied back in the Edo period.
Okay.
So I have old books from Japan, and they looked at those and found them very interesting, and I explained to them that in Japan at that time, the time that they are trying to emulate, the samurai or whomever it was who was doing the tying, the police of that era, would have tied in specific ways. So they would have tied to show the crime, they would have tied to show gender, they would have tied to show status. So the ties that you see in the show are based on Hojojitsu ties.
So wait, so now I gotta go back and see who's tied up how?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And you'll see that they're
Maeve is tied up
all
different than the IT guy and this.
Exactly. Yeah.
And only you would know that. I didn't notice that.
All the actors noticed it. And
Well, I'm
they
sure
asked
they
me
did.
about it. And they were like, so why are we all tied different? What is this? Why are we tied like this? And I was like, well,
And you're
there's
there
a
with
reason why you are tied like this.
And you were there with that evil grin going, I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you why. I
got
envy
the
your evil
knowledge.
grin. I don't have, I wish I had. Isn't that the greatest evil grin? I love it. I love it. Right? You're even laughing. You're
It's
like,
like
yeah.
he goes
Somebody
with
likes
his
my
knowledge.
grin.
I bet. I like her
I
grin
have-
too.
I
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
meme of the grin.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. But I mean, how did they find you? Like, is J.J. Abrams that freaky, or is that is Jonathan Nolan kinky? Is that
Well, I'm very fortunate to be able to do a lot of work in Hollywood.
Okay.
And so I had done a thing for Adidas Originals,
I was gonna ask you
where I
about that,
tied Kendall Jenner, and one of the guys from the art department was also working on this.
right?
And so when they said, hey, we want to do this bondage thing and we want to make it really cool, he said, hey, I know this guy. So
Yeah.
I came in and talked to them and brought a bunch of interesting things for them to look at, and they were like, this is exactly what we want. We want as authentic as we can get.
So, like the first season of Westworld, did you watch and go, nah, it's wrong? Because I know they did some rough play.
They did, yeah, and there were a few things that, in my opinion, you notice and you go, so you guys will pay attention about the thing that they put in their hat, but, you know, a little feather or something like that, and you'll pay attention to cufflinks, but you won't pay attention to the fact that the rope looks really silly and it's not period rope and it totally doesn't work for what you're doing.
Oh wow! Did you really put in a task like that?
Yeah, I spoke to one of the art directors and he was like, oh, that's why you're here.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
We did notice that as well, and we want to
Really?
make-
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
So are you gonna
Yeah.
be here? I'm like laughing my ass off. I'm like,
It's
somebody
all
got
art.
to say it.
Yeah.
The
Somebody
human
got
body is art.
to- Yeah, yeah.
Rope
And
is art.
we're fortunate enough now in
The
this
time
era
period is
where
not- is
people
art.
are seeing rope bondage as
Right.
art.
Right.
Agreed.
You know, and I've been fortunate enough to tie for different fashion shows and different fashion things, and even like AVN red carpets. I created an outfit. So
Did you tie Nicki Minaj in the?
no, I did
no,
not.
that wasn't you. Okay, okay.
No, but
okay.
you tied Kendall Jenner.
Yes.
How was that? I mean, how did she like that?
She was really cool about it. She actually said, "Oh, you know, you can tie me tighter than this." And
Really?
Yeah, she was.
I
totally
gotta
cool
check
with it.
out that commercial now.
Yeah, she was really, really cool, and she actually was interested in it being more edgy. So when we originally talked about it, she was going to be suspended naked, and that was,
Yeah.
she was keen on that idea, but then as things progress, the
corporate-
advertising agency, her people, you know, different people start getting involved and things start evolving.
Right.
So it evolved into her being suspended wearing one of their jumpsuits because I think she has something to do with the design of one of their jumpsuits.
And that's what they're trying to sell.
And that's what they're trying to sell. So
Yes.
then it evolved into, well, maybe we don't want her suspended. But prior to that, I had had meetings with the